Hey everyone, Wes here for Family Gamer TV, and we're talking Disney Infinity 3.0 today. You'll have seen the big announcement this week of Star Wars coming to Disney Infinity. We knew it was coming, it was only a matter of time, but it is announced now, along with lots of other details, and Andy did some great coverage of the announcement at the time, so please go and check out his video that we have here on the channel. But we got some more details for you, and we're going to take a closer look at the starter pack and the playset and some of the figures that you're going to be getting for Star Wars and what might be to come in the future as well. And we'll start by a close-up look at this PlayStation 3 starter pack we have here. So obviously being released on all the major platforms, 360, PlayStation 3, Xbox One, PlayStation 4, Wii U. We don't believe this is coming to Wii, so Wii owners, you might need to get yourself an upgrade to Wii U. But this starter pack, as you can see, front and centre, this is Clone Wars. This is Anakin Skywalker and Ahsoka Tano, and they are the lead characters from the Clone Wars animated series from a few years back. Now, many people have said, why should we be going with Clone Wars? Why have they chosen that? That's surely not the most popular thing. But I think if you ask any kids around, that is Star Wars to them. Clone Wars is Star Wars to them, more so than a lot of the films. So focusing on those characters, I think, is a smart move, and of course the animation style in that series fits really well with Disney Infinity. But these aren't the only characters featured. You can see in the background there's Obi-Wan Kenobi in a pod racer, along with Darth Maul also in a pod racer. There's C-3PO and R2-D2, plus Princess Leia. Why is she there? You've got lots of Clone Wars characters, and then all of a sudden Princess Leia? Strange. And up behind her, Darth Vader. Then over to the left, you've got Yoda as well. So, you know, a number of these characters cross over the different generations of Star Wars, but there's two there that stand out as being exclusively from the original trilogy of films. And that, for me, was an interesting choice. I mean, you could have put Luke on there, you could have put Han or Chewie on there, but they went for Princess Leia, and of course you've got C-3PO and R2-D2, although C-3PO looks to be the version from Clone Wars because it has that silver leg. But this does mean, as you've seen in the announcement, that we're getting Clone Wars and we're getting original trilogy Star Wars playsets. And we'll look at those in a moment. But you can see the figures we've got here, and notably there are only two of them. The starter packs for Disney Infinity previously have all had 3 figures in them, along with the portal and the playset piece. Now we're dropping down to 2, just Anakin and Ahsoka. And of course there's going to be a price drop that goes with that. We don't yet know whether the 2 kind of toy box games that they've announced are going to be bundled in this box or not. I have a feeling not, in order to keep the price low, so those might be available separately. But this playset piece is also going to be available separately with these 2 figures bundled, so that you can purchase the standalone version of the game, which has none of the figures or the portal, just the game itself and obviously the toy box upgrade. So you can get that, and then you can buy the playset separately and as well to save more money, and obviously to compete with the likes of Lego Dimensions, which is coming this year as well. Now you can see here the figures out of the box, and we can look a little bit closer at them. There's lots of attitude in the stance, I think. I do like the design of the figures and the way they convey the personality of the characters. Anakin looking mean and purposeful, and Ahsoka there determined and resolute with her 2 lightsabers. I think the bases are very simple, kind of Tatooine looking style bases, that sandy colour and rocks, which is okay, I guess. Nothing particularly exciting there though, but do like the look and poses of these figures. But if we move on, you can see the playset itself, which is called Twilight of the Republic, and again features the very same figures and this playset piece. Now you can also see here the design of the Disney Infinity boxes, and we think from previous information that the Disney Originals boxes will have different coloration, so this kind of black and red look, it might be dedicated just to the Star Wars figures, with perhaps a purple look for the boxes for the Disney, Marvel and the Pixar content, although the Marvel ones might look something like Disney 2.0. We're not sure on that yet. So this Twilight of the Republic playset is developed by Ninja Theory, who've previously made games like Devil May Cry and Heavenly Sword. So they're really good at making action-orientated games. And you're going to get a lot of that in this particular playset with plenty of melee combat, but there's also going to be land and space battles as well, with the hint of the pod racer on the front of the starter pack. If there aren't pod racers somewhere in this playset, I think there's going to be people disappointed. But maybe we'll get that in a toy box game instead. Now, the story of this playset, it's set after Episode 2, so that's Attack of the Clones, and obviously based around Anakin and Ahsoka as they fight to uncover who's behind a freshly minted droid army. So, as you know, in those Clone Wars episodes, and of course the films as well, it was all about the good guys versus the droid army and the Sith Lords behind the scenes. Who will we see in terms of Sith Lords? Will there be any? Will Darth Maul make an appearance as a bad guy in this? Maybe the Emperor? Or maybe we'll get others. General Grievous in there, perhaps, with his twirling blades. There's lots of opportunities here. And we've seen a scene from the trailer which features Coruscant. So that's the Republic's main city, world even, and Cad Bane, one of the kind of mercenary bounty hunters from the Clone Wars series, he's featured in that trailer as well. Additional characters we're expecting to get with this playset, released individually, will be Obi-Wan, Yoda and Darth Maul, who all feature on that starter pack. And we got a few images of those to look at. Now, these are just renders of the characters, not the physical characters, but you can see Anakin Skywalker in a different pose here, perhaps one that they considered but didn't use. Ahsoka Tano, obviously now this pose would be incredibly difficult to put into figure form because of the width of the base that would be needed, and the Disney Infinity figures are kind of limited by that disc-shaped base. Obi-Wan Kenobi, again, looking rather purposeful, and we know that the figure for this looks a little bit different in its pose and its facial expression. Yoda, we've seen Yoda in the trailer with a bit of gameplay. He looks pretty awesome, bouncing around as we saw him in Attack of the Clones. I remember sitting in the cinema and watching that moment and seeing Yoda finally pull out his lightsaber and go to work, and I had a smile from ear to ear. So I'm looking forward to playing as Yoda in the game. And we can see here what his figure actually looks like. Not coloured in, but this is kind of like the prototype of his figure. You can see with holding his short green lightsaber, cloak billowing behind him. I'm really looking forward to getting my hands on Yoda. And here, coloured in, alongside Ahsoka, we get a closer look at these two characters and the design on Ahsoka's clothes. She's looks very reminiscent of how she did in the Clone Wars. It's a really good interpretation, and the same with Yoda. The style of that cartoon really does fit Disney Infinity so well. And here, of course, Darth Maul with his dual-bladed lightsaber. And I think there's going to be lots of fun to be had playing with him as one of the villains that you can no doubt play with in the playset. Now, before we move on from this particular playset, there's a lot of characters in the Clone Wars that we've not seen yet, that haven't been mentioned. And we want to know who you'd like to see from the Clone Wars turning up in Disney Infinity. Whether it's as a figure or whether it's in-game, let us know what you'd like to see. Personally, I'm hoping we see another version of Samuel L. Jackson, this time as Mace Windu, so that we can have a toy box game with Nick Fury and Mace Windu in co-op. That'd be pretty cool, I think. But moving on from that playset, we have the original trilogy playset, which is Rise Against the Empire. And as you can see, the box art features the X-Wing, the Millennium Falcon and the Death Star. And inside we have Luke Skywalker and his sister, Princess Leia, with a Death Star playset piece. I pretty much want this just for the Death Star playset piece. I don't know about any of you. The characters look great, and I think Leia looks fantastic. Really, really good. And the team have done a great job there. Luke looks a little bit hapless and maybe a little bit scared, which is probably representative of how he was for that early part of the original trilogy. But that playset piece, man, I want that. So, again, the same box art, or rather the same box theming that we had with the other playset. So this is the Star Wars theme, you can see. And we know we're going to get some other characters as well. But alongside the other characters, what else do we know about Rise Against the Empire? Well, it's developed by Studio Gobo, who are based here in the UK, and they were responsible for the Pirates of the Caribbean playset previously, as well as lots of other work on the Marvel and other aspects of Disney Infinity. And this story follows the events of the classic trilogy, so rather than it being a story of its own, like the Clone Wars playset, this one really focuses on memorable events from that trilogy. So you've got the Battle of Yavin, you've got battles on Hoth and Tatooine, there's the possibility of Jabba the Hutt turning up, you're going to be able to ride a Tauntaun and fly a Snowspeeder, an X-Wing, Millennium Falcon even, you might be doing the Trench Run, we've seen a bit of that in one of the trailers, and so there's loads of cool stuff, especially for older generations like myself to play and participate in with this Rise of the Empire playset. But we did mention there's other characters coming, and perhaps some of the coolest ones yet, at least from my perspective. So we're going to get Chewbacca, Han Solo, and Darth Vader, and we're going to look at those in a moment. But here's another look at Luke in a different pose. I think I possibly prefer this one to the one they've got in the box, but I'm happy with the one we've got. But he's got that Episode 4 outfit, very smart but very young novice Jedi, and his sister looking really mean here, with a blaster which looks, you know, straight out of that kind of opening sequence to Star Wars A New Hope, where she's on the spaceship and Darth Vader comes in, he's trying to capture her. So yeah, very reminiscent of that. Han, of course, looking very kind of cool, very charismatic, as we know Han Solo is. And in fact, we've got a look at Han Solo in the packaging as well, so let's take a look at that. So this is how the individual packs are going to shape up. You can see Han here in a different pose to that render, but you've got, again, full of character, blaster pointed, ready to take down all those stormtroopers. But we couldn't have Han without Chewie, and here he is, Chewbacca with his kind of laser crossbow, looking great. A fantastic translation, I have to say. I think with Han, I'm not sure about the face on Han, but Chewbacca looks brilliant. Really, really happy with how they've conveyed Chewbacca's appearance from the films here in the Disney Infinity styling. And last but not least, Darth Vader, with a kind of elongated face to fit the styling, I think. Makes it a little bit unique. But yeah, looking mean. You don't want to mess with Darth Vader, do you? And of course, this, again, isn't the official final pose, but we'll take a look at that in a bit. So here you can see the 4 figures lined up of Luke, Leia, Chewbacca, and Han Solo, all looking very cool. The quality of the figures, again, continues to be impressive, I think, with Disney Infinity. They do seem to put a lot of effort into getting the details just right. And you see the bases here, different to the bases from the previous playset, the Clone Wars themed playset. But what else are we going to get with Star Wars? Well, with this playset, again, there's so many characters that you could bring in from that original trilogy, and lots of fan favourites too. So please do leave us a comment if there are characters from that original trilogy that you want to see, who you think might be the mission givers, and all those kind of things. Personally, and I'm sure a lot of you will agree with this, we've got to have Boba Fett. You just can't get away with releasing Star Wars for Disney Infinity and not having a Boba Fett figure. I would be incredibly disappointed, as I'm sure a lot of the fan base would be. So Disney, I hope you're listening. We need that. But it doesn't end there for Star Wars and Disney Infinity. At the end of this year, December, we've got a brand new film coming, Star Wars The Force Awakens, and this is episode 7 in the whole series of films, following on from Return of the Jedi, although many years later, and it features a new cast of characters as well as some old returning characters. So we're going to see Luke, Han Solo, Princess Leia and Chewbacca. They're all going to be in this again, but the focus seems to have shifted to a few new characters. And so we're expecting in this playset to see Rey, who's shown here on what looks like Tatooine with BB-8, the droid. Now, I've stayed away from the Star Wars trailer as much as I can, so picking up these stills was kind of hard. I didn't want to spoil anything, and I'm sorry if I'm spoiling anything for any of you watching. But Rey is one of the main characters in Star Wars The Force Awakens, and the BB-8 droid we're expecting to feature quite heavily as well. And if you've not seen that in motion yet, you really should check it out, or wait for the film like I am. Alongside Rey is going to be Finn. Now, we've seen pictures of Finn in Stormtrooper armour. Here he's got his kind of casual gear on, just his everyday. Once he's not busy being a Stormtrooper, he's just relaxing in his casual gear. Although he looks a little bit stressed at the moment, I have to say. So we're expecting with the Force Awakens playset that these two characters will probably be the characters that you get in the box, with other characters from the series to appear as well. Maybe we'll get some of the old favourites brought back in figure form, but with slightly greyer hair, or maybe we'll get some other new characters. There's an interesting looking villain with a rather cool lightsaber that may feature, I have a feeling. So loads of stuff coming for Disney Infinity 3.0 with Star Wars. Just tons and tons of content, but as always, it's all about you, the fans. What do you want to see? And Disney are listening. They want to know the characters you want to see in this game, because there are still plenty of slots open to fill with characters over the coming year. So let us know in the comments, and we'll make sure Disney take a look at those and hassle them online and send those requests over to them. But that's about all we've got time for today. Stay tuned for more from us here at Family Gamer TV on Disney Infinity 3.0, because we're going to be taking a look at the Disney Originals side of things, as well as the kind of Pixar and Marvel stuff, as soon as we've got more to show you on that. But we hope you enjoyed this look at Star Wars for Disney Infinity 3, and stay tuned for more from Family Gamer TV.